Original Sullivan's Crossing character Lola Gunderson has had a difficult time, but, now that she's finally getting back on her feet, it's time for her to move on with her life to bigger and better things. Initially, Lola, Amalia Williamson, was the Sullivan's Crossing villain and the antagonist for the main character, Dr. Maggie Sullivan, Morgan Cohen. Lola had been injured in a hit-and-run accident as a child, and Maggie's father, Harry Sully Sullivan, Scott Patterson, had taken her under his wing and treated her like a daughter, which made Maggie very jealous. However, Sullivan's Crossing later revealed that Sully had done so much for Lola because he believed that he was the one who'd hit her with his car. Lola never knew the truth about the accident and was haunted by it, but, when Sully finally admitted the truth, it triggered a memory for her which proved that he wasn't the driver. Lola and Maggie eventually came to understand each other better, and finally became friends. In addition, Lola found romance with Jacob Cranebear, Joel Owlett, with whom she's now in a long-distance relationship. Lola has now lost her entire family. She never knew her father, and her mother passed away when she was a teenager. Lola then lived with her grandparents, but they've also passed on. Things finally seemed to be looking up for her when she started dating Jacob and got an internship working as a counselor at the youth center. However, she was fired from her job after she brought the children to the crossing without their parents' permission. Although Lola was devastated by this turn of events, she eventually realized that it was a blessing in disguise because she could now visit Jacob. Even though Lola would be really missed in Sullivan's Crossing, it's time for the show to let her go so that she can spread her wings. Lola should continue her relationship with Jacob Chris Reardon / copyright CW / Fremantle / courtesy Everett Collection. After she was fired from her internship, Lola realized that maybe it wasn't such a bad thing because there was nothing stopping her from visiting Jacob in Calgary, where he was completing his graduate studies. Although he tried to convince his professors to allow him to finish his research in Timberlake so that he could stay with Lola, they refused, so he had to leave. When Maggie told Lola that she thought that Jacob was just supposed to be her summer fling, Lola agreed that he was, but she also admitted that she didn't realize how much she'd miss him. This was why she jumped at the chance to join him when he invited her to collect lichen samples for his research with him in the Rockies. During Sullivan's Crossing Season 3, Lola had confessed to Maggie and Sydney that she'd never been with a guy before, which highlighted her innocence when it comes to love. Her initial reluctance to date Jacob was based in fear due to her inexperience, but she finally seems open to pursuing their romance. Sullivan's Crossing should allow Lola to leave Timberlake and fully explore her relationship with Jacob. Lola has never been outside of Nova Scotia. Chris Reardon / copyright CW / Fremantle / courtesy Everett Collection. Lola told Maggie and Sydney that she decided to join Jacob in Calgary because he was such a great guy, but also because she'd never been outside of Nova Scotia before. Lola has lived a very limited life, partially due to the fact that her accident left her with physical and emotional scars. Her inability to remember what happened that day haunted her, and she seemed trapped in the past. Now that Lola finally seems to be moving past her accident, she deserves to open up her life to new possibilities. She should travel outside of her comfort zone, and push herself to experience new things. Lola's life has been very small, but she has the chance to see what the world has to offer. Maggie and Cal Jones, Chad Michael Murray, came to the crossing after living in big cities and pursuing their dreams. They know what's out there, and they chose to stay in Timberlake. Lola should also be able to explore her options, and make the choice to return to the crossing after experiencing all that life has to offer, rather than just settling for being there because that's the way her life has always been. Even though Lola has been studying at the university, she doesn't seem to have many friends outside of Maggie and Sydney, and those friendships are relatively new because of all of the past conflict between Maggie and Lola. Not only would leaving Timberlake allow Lola to continue her relationship with Jacob, but she'd meet new people and broaden her horizons. Sullivan's Crossing wouldn't be the same without Lola, but the character deserves more. Her time at the crossing has run its course, and if she stays, she won't move forward with her life and will just be stuck in the same rut. If she leaves, she could always come back to visit, and she wouldn't even necessarily have to be completely off of the show. However, Lola should definitely leave Timberlake for a period of time and really take control of her life. Love and opportunity await her in Calgary, and she will thrive there. It's time for Sullivan's Crossing to let Lola shine.